So, welcome to the Children and Young People Suite at Nottingham Children's Hospital. This is where children and young people from throughout the East Midlands come for a forensic examination after they've made an allegation of child sexual abuse or an acute assault. So the children and young people, if they need to have forensic samples collected from them, will come into this very clinical looking suite. And the reason it's like this is because we need to ensure that the forensic evidence that we collect from the children or young person relates to the crime and isn't contamination. So they'll come into the forensic waiting room, get changed in our forensically clean changing room, which they can also use as a shower after they've had the examination. And then they'll come through to this room, and in this room what we do is we weigh and measure them, we examine them for any injuries, and we record that on our video colposcope, which stays about 30 centimetres away from the child. It doesn't go into the child. And then we also collect DNA forensic samples using these forensic swabs. They're very much like cotton wool swabs. In here we can also give treatment to protect them from ongoing pregnancy, so emergency contraception. We can give them painkillers and we can give them laxatives to soften their stools. We also encourage all of our children to start the hepatitis B vaccination, and some of our children will need post-exposure prophylaxis against HIV. So this environment will be a much more child-friendly, non-clinical environment because we don't need to ensure the forensic integrity of the child and young person. So they will come through with whoever's supporting them, so usually a parent, social worker, family or friends, and this will be a lovely waiting area with nice sofas and bean bags. We'll have a television, so smart television, so they can watch things that they'd like, and also electronic games. So we're going to make this very child and young person friendly. They can make themselves hot drinks, cold drinks, and have snacks, etc. to keep them going. So if you can see moving through to the video interview suite, we've got this extra divide and door, and that's not only to reduce noise pollution so that we can hear the children's stories, but also as a psychological divide, because what we want is the children feel safe to tell us what's happened to them, and children will often worry that their parents might overhear what they're saying and therefore they might not tell us exactly what's happened. So this will be in this first room is where police officers will sit, and they'll be able to watch the video taking place next door and hear what the child's saying. And they're here to advise the police officers in the video interview room about what the next question should be, because it can be quite difficult to focus on making the child feel comfortable, but also thinking about what they've said and what they need to ask the child evidentially, so that we can ensure that the child can tell us their full story. So if we move through, so this will be where the child and the intermediary and the police officers will sit. So there'll be the recording equipment in here, including microphones to pick up the children's stories, and the whole unit has got extra sound protection so that there's no noise pollution from outside and that we can't hear what's going on next door. So after the child's told us their story, they'll be able to go back and join their parents. So this is a really exciting development for our service, and one that I've been working over 20 years to develop, because what we know is children want to tell us their stories, but there's lots of barriers in the way, and I think having to move on to a police station to tell what's happened to you can often feel like perhaps the child has done something wrong, and children who are exposed to sexual violence often feel that they're responsible for that abuse, and so this is a further barrier for them telling us what's happened to them. And what we know from our Scandinavian colleagues who've had children's houses, they're a one-stop shop for having an examination and a police video interview at the same in the same location, is that the number of charges against perpetrators of sexual violence in children has increased by 4 times, and then the number of successful prosecution has gone up twice. And actually what we want to do within our service is not only support the children and young people medically and psychologically after they've been sexually abused, but we also want to make sure that we successfully prosecute perpetrators of sexual violence against children.